What's going on, guys? Tower number 9 here, and I'm happy to announce that we're going to have some gameplay footage on the channel once more. This footage comes from a store showdown in Brazil. Shout out to Asgard Brasilia, the store that hosted this event. And this footage originally comes from the SWDBR channel on YouTube, Star Wars Destiny Brazil, who has now started covering Star Wars Unlimited. And they had a very cool setup. I think this is high quality footage. They even had two or three commentators. But the original commentary was in Portuguese. And so I have, with permission, taken this footage and will be re recording an English language commentary so that viewers who speak English can appreciate these tournament games. So once again, big shout out to SWDBR and to Asgard Store Brasilia for hosting this event and for this footage. I will have a link in the video description below to the original footage here from SWDBR if any Portuguese-speaking listeners want to check that out. Without further ado, let's get to it. I believe this is round 1 of the store showdown, and it looks like we're going to have on the left side here, it looks like we're going to have Lucas, who is playing Iden Blue, and on the right we have Gabriel Bones playing Sabine Green. So let's see how this goes. It's going to be a 30 HP base for Iden and the energy conversion lab here for Sabine. One other note is that I am showing this footage at 1.5x speed, just so that we get things a little more clear. We're going to start out with the player's resourcing, and Iden will lead off with a Inferno 4. Looks like a fairly standard early play, and a Battlefield Marine there for Gabriel Bones, playing the organized play variant of that card. And I believe I thought Sabine's ability was used there, but it doesn't look like they put damage on the decks, so not entirely sure what happened there. Power of the Dark Side played to clear the Battlefield Marine. Gabriel then plays R2, looks at the top card, sends it to the bottom of the deck. Okay, so they did do that, and it just wasn't shown on the overlay here. So then Inferno 4 swings or doesn't swing. Okay, I'm not sure what happened with Inferno there. He sort of pointed to it, and I thought it attacked, but they didn't put the damage on the base from that attack. Iden healed 1 after the Battlefield Marine was defeated. We saw an Alliance X-Wing played, and Sabine's ability was used for 1 damage to each base. Overall, in this matchup, the Sabine player wants to try and push damage early, while the Iden player wants to try and keep the board under control. Inferno 4 swings in on the Alliance X-Wing, dealing 2 damage. The X-Wing hits base for 2. Lucas plays a Cloud City Wingguard 2/4 with Sentinel. Sabine uses her ability for 1 to each base. Sabine deploys Spec Force Soldier used here to remove the Sentinel on that Cloud City Wingguard. And a Wing Leader buffing Sabine. R2 deals 1 damage to the base, looks at the top card. Sabine deals 5 damage total to the base. So a lot of pressure and a lot of small units on the board here for Gabriel Bones. This is something that can be strong against control, because insofar as they're relying on 1-for-1 removal, playing multiple small units is hard. It can be hard for them to deal with. But let's see what Lucas does in return. Trades Inferno 4 for the X-Wing, looking at his top 2 cards, 1 to the bottom, 1 to the top. And that Cloud City Wingguard is still in position to block the ground arena here. Wing Leader buffing a wing, or no, I thought it was Wing Leader buffing the other Wing Leader, but it's actually Wing Leader buffing Sabine again. So Sabine now very powerful with a total of 4 experience tokens. Sabine is actually now swinging as a 6 damage hit +1 to the base. The Cloud City Wingguard takes the opportunity to take out the Spec Force Soldier. I do think that Gabriel might have been, it might have been better for Gabriel to play to have Sabine clear out the Wingguard before playing that Wing Leader buff. I Am Your Father is played targeting R2, and Gabriel decides to lose R2 rather than let his opponent draw 3 cards. And the Wing Leader swings in for 2 more damage. Entrenched on Sabine from Lucas. That is a big play. Gabriel has put a lot of upgrades on Sabine there, and that entrenched now means that unless Gabriel has a Disabling Fangfighter or some other upgrade removal, his Sabine is not going to have a ton of relevance. 2 damage to base from a Wing Leader. A takedown defeats the other Wing Leader. Gabriel thinking about his options here. If he can get that entrenched off of Sabine, it would be a much better situation. He fires off a for a cause I believe in, inflicting the maximum 4 damage, but the cards that he sees from it are not that strong. I would probably discard all 4 of these cards, honestly, and just try to dig for upgrade removal if you have it, but also just dig for more just dig for more stuff that you can potentially use for reach. So in this case, another for a cause or perhaps a K2. He does keep a Fleet Lieutenant on top of the deck though. And that's it for the turn. I wonder. Yeah, Fleet Lieutenant, I guess Iden healed there or something, and then Gabriel just took the initiative. Fleet Lieutenant on the Wing Leader, swinging into the base for major damage. Only 9 HP left on Lucas's base here. Looks like maybe a pass from Lucas. Another For a Cause now played. And it's going to land for another 4 damage. And none of those are reach cards or similar, though. So I think this is going to be another 4 cards. I would discard all 4 of these. I don't think you want to keep any of them. Fighters for Freedom is kind of nice, but even still, I would rather just get rid of all this stuff. Try to draw another For a Cause. Try to draw K2. Try to draw upgrade removal if you have it. No, discarded 2 of them and kept 2, it looks like. Nothing going on here from Lucas. Is Super Laser Blast here? No? It's an Entrenched on the Fleet Lieutenant. 2 damage to base. A System Patrol Craft hits the field. Lucas is also holding back on deploying Iden here, which he may want to Super Laser Blast and then bring in Iden afterwards, or maybe even bring in Iden and then Super Laser Blast. Gabriel now blocked in both arenas. His ground units don't have a way to get past those the entrenched that Lucas has been using as a control card here. He is giving those units +3/+3, but preventing them from attacking. So in the ground arena, neither of his units can attack the base, even though either would be lethal. And in the space arena, the Wing Leader is blocked by the System Patrol Craft. Gabriel does play Sabine Wren, Explosives Artist. We then see Inferno 4 used by Lucas. Huh. Odd situation. I think maybe we saw the initiative taken here. System Patrol Craft takes out the Wing Leader, and then Iden used to heal. Iden then deploys. Iden defeats Sabine, healing another point of damage, losing her shield. The System Patrol Craft should have taken 2 damage here and does not appear to have, so a potential error on the player's part there. Iden is now, of course, going to be very easily defeated, so a swing from Sabine here will defeat Iden. Or we could actually see the ambush. I don't think ECL has been used yet, and I think there was a Steadfast Battalion in hand, so that could ambush in. Steadfast Battalion could ambush in, buff itself. Then we could swing into Iden and deal 3 Overwhelm to the base, which would leave Lucas on only 2 HP. That does seem like it would be a strong play. Looks like we're up to 8 resources for Gabriel. I think we saw a K2 as well. Let's see what Gabriel's gonna do though. I don't believe he used ECL earlier. No, it's going to be Sabine defeating Iden. I think we saw maybe a pass from Lucas, and then K2SO is played. Heal and mill. So heals 5 from his base and mills 6 cards off the top of Gabriel's deck. Milling is normally not what you want to do against aggro, but I guess he didn't have another option. Search Your Feelings played here. The space unit's continuing to attack, and Lucas finding the exact card that he needs. Not sure if it's going to be, is it going to be Super Laser? Is it going to be another Vigilance? Not entirely sure. I think it was another, well, I'm not actually sure. Nine HP left for Lucas. K2 can swing in here for at least 4. If there's a Noble Sacrifice, he could deal... Actually, a Noble Sacrifice here would be lethal. It would do exact 9 damage and win the game. But presumably Gabriel doesn't have it, or he already would have used it. He plays a card that's obscured by the overlay here. I really don't know what card that is. I don't know why he didn't just attack with K2. What is this? K2 ambushed by a bounty hunter crew, which returns a vigilance to hand. That's now going to be a major obstacle. Okay, so now we're going to see, looks like that's going to be a Bright Hope, and probably he'll bounce his Fleet Lieutenant here, getting the Fleet Lieutenant back, drawing a card. Looks like he forgot to draw the card. I think? Yeah, you do get to draw a card for bouncing something with Bright Hope, and I'm not sure that he remembered to do that. The other card that he had on the field there was a Dodonna, which I guess he had played before. Wait, so then if he played a Dodonna, why was K2 defeated? That bounty hunter crew only hits for 4, and K2 was a 5/5 with General Dodonna in play, so should not have actually been removed there. I think that's a major play mistake. Unless I'm missing something, that was potentially quite bad. Okay, so now we see I Am Your Father used to try to clear Dodonna, but Gabriel, yeah, and they're forgetting Dodonna again. Gabriel lets Lucas draw the 3 cards, and then both of Lucas's space units attack into Bright Hope. Bright Hope should be a 3/7 here, buffed by Dodonna, but they're only dealing 2 damage. It seems like a major play error. Oh, but they remember now. And Inferno 4 is cleared. Looking at the top 2 cards, that's actually wrong. They're kind of rolling this back incorrectly. It should have been the two cards that he drew during the what's it called step. Okay, well, here we have Fleet Lieutenant with Dodonna into the base for 6. Vigilance used to heal up and clear the Fleet Lieutenant. That's illegal. That Fleet Lieutenant has 4 HP. Vigilance should not work on it. So K2SO now played. 4 for a takedown on Dodonna. Iden used to heal 1 and a trade with the Space Sentinels. And then an entrenched for K2, it seems. If Gabriel has upgrade removal in his deck, I think it will almost certainly be sideboarded in after this round 1. This has been a very prolonged game. I think losing that K2 to the bounty hunter crew when he had Dodonna was actually like a really bad situation for our Sabine player here. But we'll see what he can do. It looks like red 3 hitting the board. Spark of Rebellion. So it reveals Rebel Assault. I think that one was a Fleet Lieutenant, maybe, that got removed. Fighters for Freedom. Kind of played the cards in the wrong order here. If he had played Fighters for Freedom before Red 3, he could have done 1 damage when he played Red 3. Vigilance used to clear Red 3 and heal 5, and then Sabine's ability, or Iden's ability used to heal an additional 1. Gabriel definitely feels like he's stalling out a bit here. Let's see what he can do. He's done a large amount of damage, but with all the healing from Iden and from Vigilance, he still has 13 damage to go. Noble Sacrifice. What is this? He discarded a Noble Sacrifice and didn't do anything? I'm not sure what happened with that. I don't know why he didn't just attack. Now there's a Vanquish played and it kills the Fighters for Freedom. The last of the 4 Cause I Believe In's has been used here. Search Your Feelings being played. Now this Steadfast Battalion can attack for lethal here. If he has a heroic sacrifice, he can swing for lethal here. But Iden's ability used to heal once. That's no longer the case. Let's see what happens here. Swinging for 9 seems pretty relevant. He plays a Rebel Assault. Doesn't actually work with that unit. It's not a Rebel. So yeah, Lucas should not have taken that much damage there. The Rebel Assault shouldn't have given any bonus damage. A takedown or a Vanquish now clears that unit. A Spec Force soldier hits the field, and then another Vigilance clears the Spec Force soldier and heals 5. I think the Bounty Hunter crew recurring Vigilance has been helpful, and then we now see another Search Your Feelings. A lot of healing here. A lot of healing. Battlefield Marine on field. Avenger. So when played on attack, you have to defeat a non-leader unit. There's going to be an opportunity actually for Gabriel to win the game potentially because he defeats K2 doing 3 damage. Now he can take the initiative. And if Lucas doesn't have a way to deal with the Battlefield Marine, heroic sacrifice wins the game immediately. So Lucas, but it's Lieutenant Childson. Lieutenant Childson not revealing any cards. Childson is a 2/2. A bit unorthodox. Now, this is an interesting situation because if Sabine attacks into Childson, she can defeat him and deal 1 damage to the base, but then the Battlefield Marine will be defeated when Avenger attacks, which means that it won't be able to swing in for potential lethal. Rebel Assault, what a play, and that's going to be game. Sabine clears Childson with Rebel Assault, and the Battlefield Marine does the remaining damage to finish things off. So there were some definite misplays in that game. And or not exactly misplays, some play errors in that game, but it was an interesting and prolonged one there, with Sabine ultimately being able to barely squeak in there for lethal. Yeah, I do think that Sabine got 1 damage that she shouldn't have from the Rebel Assault on the Steadfast Battalion, but I also think that the Bounty Hunter crew should not have defeated K2 with that ambush because it was a 4/4 attacking into a 5/5 with the Dodonna buff. So I think that in that situation, perhaps these mistakes evened out and Lucas got the advantage with the ambush, but Gabriel got an unfair advantage with the Rebel Assault later on. Ultimately, though, he was able to get the win. So Congrats to Gabriel for taking game one of this match, and we're going to keep on watching here as we go into round two. Let's see. Sideboard time. So if I'm Gabriel in this situation, the card that I really want in my to bring in from sideboard, assuming that he's playing it, which he might not be, is Disabling Fangfighter. Disabling Fangfighter. So Lucas almost won the game on the back of Entrenched, and having some Disabling Fangfighters that can knock out those copies of Entrenched and get your units back in the fight while also developing another unit could be critical here. Disabling Fangfighter can also be used to knock out Iden's shield, and perhaps there are other circumstances where it'd be useful. You know, it could remove a shield from a cargo juggernaut if that card were to be played. But overall, the main thing that I'm thinking about here is bringing that in to counter Entrenched. There is also an argument for bringing in Wolf from the sideboard if that card is in there, as Wolf allows you to potentially counteract some of the healing that Iden can offer. And I think there's an argument for removing the Steadfast Battalion because it isn't that good against most of the units being used here. However, I do think you probably still want it in the deck because of the risk of Lieutenant Childson. So we'll see how this goes and whether or not these decks are going to play substantially differently after they sideboard going into game two of this match from the Store Showdown. And overall, that game one, despite some errors, that was, I think, pretty indicative of the overall strategies that are generally being used there. With Lucas trying to heal, gain control of the board, and focus on removing units rather than going for the base, and Gabriel trying to just push damage to base and develop his forces there. But yeah, a lot much longer than aggro versus control normally goes, but interesting matchup. Wow, Gabriel leads off by using Sabine's ability. I think Lucas maybe just took the initiative. So it's Sabine's ability and then the Green Squadron A-Wing, again using the organized play variant of that card. Green Squadron A-Wing. Ooh. Lucas does not have an entrenched or a power of the dark side to clear that A-Wing. So instead it's going to be Inferno 4, and Gabriel brings out Red 3, swings in with the Green Squadron A-Wing for 4 damage, and uses Sabine for another 1 to each base. This is a very strong start for Gabriel. Lucas feels like he's significantly behind with this being the start of this game. Let's see how things progress. To make matters worse, if Lucas were to entrench one of these units, it could then Gabriel could then use the entrenched unit to take out Inferno 4. Inferno 4 hits Red 3. Gabriel swings with the Green Squadron A-Wing, which is an error, and then gets hit by Make an Opening to clear Red 3 before it attacks. While Green Squadron A-Wing does swing for 4 damage instead of Red 3's 3, I think it would have been better to swing with Red 3 in that situation because you would not be removed by Make an Opening. But, he ultimately ended up kind of walking into that. However, he does get to bring out Sabine, give her 2 experience with a wing leader, and swing in for 5 damage, which is, I think, something that he's very happy to do. So while I do think that Gabriel lost some value there by swinging with the A-Wing instead of Red 3, he ultimately is still in a good position. And to be fair, he might have been worried, what if my opponent plays a card and removes this A-Wing, and then Red 3 trades with Inferno 4 next turn, when my opponent will likely have the initiative because I'm going to want to be deploying Sabine. Lieutenant Childson hits the field here, showing Avenger, Power of the Dark Side, Entrenched, and a Search Your Feelings, which means he is at the full 6/6 value. Wing Leader hits base for 2, and Inferno 4 trades with Wing Leader. Green Squadron A-Wing swings in for 3 damage to base. Iden's ability is used to heal 1. And now we're going to see what Gabriel has to counter. What does Gabriel have in mind to counter that Lieutenant Childson? Wolf is played here, but a little late, as the Wolf is played here. The healing already went off, but Wolf will potentially deny healing in future rounds. And a Spec Force soldier removes Sentinel from Lieutenant Childson, allowing Sabine to sneak in there for another 5 damage to base. Lucas is in trouble here with only 8 HP remaining. He has, however, hit 6 resources, so we could see Iden deploy. He's probably going to need to take out that wolf, because if wolf gets a chance to attack, it will knock out all of Lucas's healing options for this turn. I don't know. What do you do? If I'm Lucas here, I don't know what's in hand. Just attacking wolf with Childson doesn't seem crazy to me. No, he's going to deploy Iden. He deploys Iden. Wolf can now attack the base. Wolf can now attack the base using Saboteur to bypass Childson and then shut off healing for the turn. He could also potentially surprise strike Wolf. No, he attacks Childson instead. Well, on the plus side, that does negate healing for the turn, but I'm a little surprised that he went for the unit instead of the base there. Maybe trying to set up a kill with the Spec Force Soldier that will allow Sabine to hit base for the full 5. Let's see how things progress here. If that was the plan, well, actually, it looked like Lucas was going to use Iden to take out the Spec Force Soldier, but maybe rethinking it. No, there we go. Iden shield taking out the Spec Force Soldier, but no healing occurs because Wolf has blocked it for that turn with his on-attack ability. And 5 damage to base from a Fleet Lieutenant on the A-Wing. If Wolf had hit base, this game would be over. But because Wolf swung into Childson instead, Lucas is still alive. He can't heal. Even if he has Vigilance in hand, he cannot use it to heal because Wolf's ability lasts for the whole round. Power of the Dark Side. One of these units is going to be cleared. The question is which one? Gabriel opts to lose his Fleet Lieutenant. Sabine clears out Childson and deals 1 damage to the base. I do think this has not been the most optimal way for this turn to go for Gabriel. I think he could have won this turn if he had sent the Saboteur to the base instead. But he was maybe trying to just get Childson off the board. Lucas isn't still in trouble, though. If either of these units gets a chance to attack the base, it is game over, and I'm not sure he has anything that can deal with both of them, but maybe he can heal out of it. There's a heal. Cargo Juggernaut healing 4, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Gabriel can noble sacrifice Sabine into the base and win, but he doesn't do it. He plays red 3, and Sabine and Iden trades for Sabine. Why didn't he just win? He has a Fleet Lieutenant also. That would be lethal. He goes for the Fleet Lieutenant with the A-Wing, which is also buffed by red 3, dealing 6 damage, but he could have won that turn. Let's see how things progress here. I should also clarify, I am not saying any of these things to insult any player. I'm just calling it as I see it in terms of like potential plays that they could have made. I think in a tournament, it can be easy to make mistakes. And in this case, I do think Gabriel could have closed the game and didn't. Super Laser Blast clears everything, but Gabriel just uses Sabine's ability, 1 damage to each base, and that's the game 1. So Gabriel does win this match with a 2-0 against Double Blue Iden. Yeah, Double Blue Iden, I think, is actually a pretty good deck. As we saw, though, this deck is incorporating a large number of cards that are specifically for fighting other. And hang on, I'm gonna go back a bit. They switched to the commentators here, but I want to just highlight one little extra part of this footage where as they started removing the cards from sideboard to reset for the next match, we caught a glimpse of what cards were being sideboarded out here before they went to those commentators. So let's take a look here. Yeah, so we're seeing, looks like, okay, so just pausing here for a second. It looks like Gabriel had sideboarded in U-Wing Reinforcement, disabling Fangfighter, and Wolf. So U-Wing Reinforcement is kind of a later game card that can potentially develop multiple units at once. It can be useful in this sort of matchup because it's a great response to Super Laser, for instance, because it gets several units on the board right after. And it can be used to get multiple units out there at a time so they can't just keep playing 1-for-1 removal against you. However, it's kind of expensive for what Sabine wants to do, so it makes sense that this would be a sideboard card. Disabling Fangfighter is upgrade removal, and it's often kept in the sideboard because it's not heroism. And it's kind of a specific thing for if your opponent is playing upgrades, but it makes sense to bring it in after the trouble he had with Entrenched in the first game. And Wolf is a card that specifically counters healing. So again, useful in this situation, but because it's not heroism and not rebel, it's usually not something that you play in the main deck. So that's a very logical sideboard decision there for Gabriel. On Lucas's side, we see at least a devotion and cargo juggernaut, which are both kind of healing upgrades that I think he was bringing in to try and stave off this aggro gameplay. And yeah, it looks like they switch over to the commentators before we see anything else being removed from the sideboard. But yeah, overall, yeah, Gabriel gets the win 2-0. I think this is an interesting matchup. Double Blue Sabine or Double Blue Iden can win against Sabine. It's by no means a match where aggro is unbeatable or whatever, but I think Gabriel was ultimately able to persist and win even in that first game. It's kind of funny. So in the first game, those entrenches proved a huge obstacle for Gabriel, and he was almost unable to get there. But in game two, I feel like Lucas had a slower start. He had an entrenched in hand early on, but didn't play it. I'm not sure if he was wary about upgrade removal or if he just wanted to be making other plays or what. But in the second game, Gabriel was able to get pressure on very quickly and ultimately win the game in a much more convincing and fast-paced manner. So congrats to Gabriel for the win. That's going to do it for this match, but I'm going to be continuing to do more matches from this event as videos for the channel in the coming days. So for those of you who have been looking for more gameplay footage, now's the time. We're gonna have some more gameplay commentary coming soon. Thanks again to SWDBR and to Asgard Brasilia for hosting this footage and hosting this event. And that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks again for watching. If you want to see more stuff like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like. If you didn't like this video, feel free to leave a dislike. I know it's a little weird for someone to ask viewers to dislike their video. It's not like quite the done thing for YouTubers or whatever, but I do actually find it to be useful feedback. So thanks again for watching, y'all, and we'll be back later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content. I will catch you guys later.